Alright, so the first thing that we're doing is we're filtering the water. I actually just put a fresh filter in there. And it's filtering really, really slowly because in LA we got chlorine, but we also have chloramines in the water. And chlorine comes out really quickly in the charcoal filter, but chloramines are a little more tenacious. So you got to just run it really, really slow. So that's what I'm doing. I'm getting that going. And now that you're here, this is called the hot liquor tank. And basically this is going to deliver hot water to the mash tun. And then it's going to sit in here and with all the grains and the warm water at a controlled temperature. We're going to go for 150 today. And it's going to convert all the complex carbs into simple fermentable sugars. And then, after that's done, we're going to heat up some more water, and then we're going to run all that thick syrup into here, and then we're going to rinse the grains out with some more hot water. That's called sparging.
Sparging.
And then we're going to fire this kettle up, and it's all going to come to a boil. And then for 60 minutes, the 60-minute mark, we're going to throw the hops in. And those are going to add the bitterness to the beer.
It's a coil chiller, and you run cold water through that, right?
Right.
You know.
It's about 80 feet of copper.
And then how quickly does that chill your wort?
Well, at this time of year where the water temperature, the groundwater temperature is unfortunately not that cold, it takes about a half an hour.
Okay.
But towards winter time, you know, December, January, it'll drop it down in about 15-20 minutes. We're heating up the mash water, which is in the hot liquor tank. So we're going to get that up to 145.
And how much water is in the tank right now?
This mark right here is 6 gallons. That one right there is 8 gallons.
And we're going to get up to the
8 mark. Yeah, we'll
8 mark eventually. Gotcha.
So we got to heat that all the way up to 145. So
okay, so
it'll continue filling. And there's actually sometimes while I'm brewing where it's filling and it's heating at the same time and it's flowing. It's doing all three. So.
Ah, that smells good. Which one is the big one? Which grain am I looking at? Is that the Pilsner?
Let's have a shot of the grains. Yeah, that's mostly Pilsner because it's pale in color.
Alright. So we're looking at the hot liquor tank. And pretty soon all that hot water is going to be going into here with our grains so we can create our mash.
So when we mash, what we want is we want to make a lot of fermentable sugars so that we can make beer, so the yeast can eat it. And in order to do that, we have to hit a couple of different targets. One of them on the pH scale and another one of them on the temperature scale. And there's other influences, for example, the darkness of the grains, that influences it also. But, you know, basically if you look at this table, you have this sort of sweet spot right here where both the alpha amylases and the beta amylases kind of overlap. And that's at a 5.3 pH, and it's around 150 degrees. So that's what we're going to aim for today.
That's our mash target.
Yep, and we have a water additive that we can add into it that acts as a buffer to get the pH to about 5.3. So I'm going to dump this into here. And that just softens up the plastic a little bit so that I can stick it on the nipple. Okay, so now I'm going to put a lot of this in here. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to... When you take the grains out of the mash and you put them in something else, you call it decocting it. There's all these little terms so you can sound like you're a pro brewer. And then another thing that this step does, this is the protein rest. Filling this up and getting it to 120, 125 degrees, it's the protein rest, and it's also going to make this less viscous. You break down a lot of these proteins and then it just becomes easier to stir.
It really smells good.
Yeah.
As that water hits the malt, it really wonderful scent. All right, so what are we doing here?
Basically, I'm just getting some water in here, and it's raising the temperature. And this is
so our malted barley has gone through its protein rest.
That's correct.
For about 25 minutes.
Yep, at about 120 degrees.
So now we're adding boiling water.
We're adding boiling water because we got to raise the temperature. And I think that this process of adding a liquid and continuously checking the temperature, I think that's called a titration. You really want to be snobby about it. I think it's called a titration. See, and actually even now as I'm stirring this, owing partially to the fact that there's more water in there, but
what temperature are we looking at?
It's actually a little hot right now. That's why I'm moving it around so we can get it to try and hit 150. Okay, we're sparging. Hot liquor tank right here is running water into the mash tun and rinsing the sugars into the boiled kettle, which is starting to boil. It's time for throwing in the hops.
Got to throw in the hops, and this is going to add some flavor, some bitterness.
Yeah, well, you know, we're kind of throwing these in at the 60-minute mark, so that means that they're mostly going to give a little bit of bitterness.
And what kind of hops are we including here?
We got some Amarillo and we got some Fuggles, and both of them are kind of old, so their bittering potential is greatly diminished, but it's a double, so what the hell.
Okay.
So I need to throw these in, and actually, Mikhail, put out one hand, and you can throw one in too.
All right.
And we're going to throw them in, then I'm going to start the timer. 3, 2, 1.